Which middle forwards should you start with and which ones should you avoid? Welcome back, NRL Fantasy with the Casual Athlete. We are here in the preseason, and I'm lucky enough to have Biz in the studio. How's it going, mate?
Longy, great to be here. Looking forward to talking about the mids today. As a lot of them, this is a year full of options, I think, and there's our usual guns up the top. A lot of good mid-range value available this year.
And I think this is the year it pays to be different too. So let's start right off here. And Isaiah goes the first cab off the rank. He is very expensive, $865K, right up there amongst fantasy players. 65 average last year. That's about as good as you can expect from him. It's the best he's done. That rank and average has sort of been rising for him each year. To me, he's a very reliable option. He'll get you 60 plus, but I don't see the value financially, so I'm probably not jumping on.
Yeah, I think, look, if you're getting Cleary, I don't think this year you probably need Yo because, like you said, there's not much upside in scoring. So if you're going to invest in one player that you're making your captain every week, it's Cleary, right? And so I think Yo probably averages about the same. If he keeps getting the minutes, no injuries, etc. Touch wood. But look, I think with Yo and the next guy, Payne Haas, like you've seen what they can do. I would say Haas technically has more upside because he's kind of priced a bit lower than Yo, like 4 points lower. And I think Haas is as good as Yo, and they can both average 65. New coach, I'm sure. Could have a good impact on Payne, but he's also racing the clock to be fit for round one, just had surgery. So at this price, with the amount of options on the cards for middle, this might be the first year I'm not starting with either of them because usually I like starting with both.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you there on Payne Haas. So my rule on Payne Haas is if he's fit, he's the best middle in fantasy.
Yep.
If he's not, stay away. And right now he's not. Ankle surgery. If he gets back for round one, that's fantastic. But the minute's going to be less. There's a bit of risk of re-injury. I love Haas when he doesn't have that, but he has that right now. So, yeah, I'm skipping him as well. Who worked on the list here for Noah Blake, 780K. Very expensive. A guy I had quite a bit last year. And I don't see the upside here. There's a bit of talk that the minutes will be less this year. So I view him as a downside play. Still very valuable in a draft league. He's super durable. He doesn't play Origin, all that sort of jazz. But in a classic team, you're not going to start with Noah Blake.
No, and he's come out and said he's maybe playing a few less minutes this year, but God, he does look jacked. He looks incredible.
Oh, he looks good.
He looks so good right now. Yeah. And look, I think the Sharks, they were missing the alpha leader of the pack. This is him. But they do have good middles. Like, it's not to say they didn't have a forward pack before he came over. They were just missing the one alpha. So they've got a lot of big names. Got, Rudolph, Hazleton all playing minutes. McInnes playing through the middle.
Oregon will start as well.
Oregon's there, yeah. So I know they've lost Royce Hunt, but they've got a couple of younger guys there too. So I can't see Noah Blake playing more than 50 minutes. I think there'll be a very good 50 minutes. I think he'll still average 50 plus, but I don't see anything more than the 57.8 he's priced at.
Yeah, probably dips down a bit. But at the same time, Cronulla do look good. So maybe that opens things up for him. Yeah, we can see how that goes. Paddy Carrigan up next, 57 average. He benefited last year from some periods where Payne Haas was missing games. His average without Haas is 60 points.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. If Haas misses time, he's a guy you can look at. But even then, he's priced at 57, which for mine is the upside on Pat Carrigan. And you have the talk that he's going to move to prop as well. And I don't see his output being more explosive than what it is at lock. So I don't really foresee that being a benefit for him as well. So I'm looking at Pat Carrigan and again, just thinking downside.
Yeah, I got nothing else out there. I think he's pretty much priced at his peak. I mean, even if he averages 60, he's not reaching the Haas and Yo levels, and he's only giving you 2.5 points of upside there.
Exactly, yeah. Jermaine Hopgood. I'll throw him to you then because I stole Carrigan. He's priced at 55. What do you think?
Yeah, I like Hopgood because I think there's a bit more upside there. We've seen, in 2023 when he went to Parry, kind of average in the 60s. Last year, obviously a bit of a strange year. Kind of started the season up and down, and then ended up getting injured for a lot of the year. I think he's still under an injury cloud, so it remains to be seen if he plays round one. But I think he's an interesting one because there's a lot of talk about what the Eels are doing. I think there's a lot of variables here in terms of what could happen. I think he's going to play big minutes. I think at least he'll average 50 to 55. The thing is, RCG's gone. Offer's going to probably be the starting prop. They're going to have Hopgood most likely back at lock. Offer was playing about 60 minutes at lock 10 last year. So if Hopgood plays 60 minutes, he could probably get to the 55, 60 mark. He loves to tackle, he loves to run, he loves to offload. I think Riles is promoting those kind of things this year. On the flip side, there's talks that, they're lining up Charlie Geimer and Campbell Tuolangi on the edges. If that means that Sean Lane and Ryan Madison are amongst the prop rotation, we talked about this off air. We don't love it because they're both big minute players. So what does the middle rotation look like? Not sure. They're similar to Payne Haas. If they ease him into the start of the year, it's not great, and he could also play Origin through the middle of the year too once he's back at full strength. So look, I think out of the options we mentioned, he's probably got the highest upside because we've seen he can be a top tier middle. That dual position is also really good, but again, it's probably more likely that he stays flat than goes up, especially to start the year with a tricky injury.
Mate, your Parramatta knowledge is impeccable, by the way. Very well researched. Yeah, I'm going to add two things here. First one, I love Hopgood. I'd need to see some strong performance from him in a trial game, and I'd need to see Parramatta offloading a lot in a trial game, right? Because if he's unleashed, then 60 plus in my mind. But if they're playing a more conservative style, which doesn't look like what they're going to do, then I wouldn't be as interested. The other thing is he's a young middle forward. And as you see with those guys, like Isaiah Yeo, we talked about him off air, his average has gone up the last 4 years, right? And he just gets more and more mature in that role. He's 30 years old now. Hopgood's quite a bit younger. So it is fair to assume that maybe he improves over this offseason. Maybe he's been in the gym or whatever it is. He comes in, plays some better footy, takes on more of a leadership role. Maybe that's why they were happy really getting rid of RCG, right? Because Junior Paulo is not going to eat up more minutes. He's sort of on the back end. So they obviously rate Hopgood. That could be good as well. I mean, I need to see some trial form. So I'm with you there on everything else you said. Cam Murray's up next. And Murray's had seasons where he's been that sort of 60-ish guy as well. Priced at 55. Misses some time to start the year. I think this one's pretty easy to let slide through, right?
Yeah, slide through. We could revisit once his price potentially drops or he comes back looking in good form. But I think let's skip on him. I think the next one's a bit more interesting. Like Joe Tarpane, I think I saw a stat that he always starts the season poorly.
Yep.
Yeah, like kind of 50 and just below, and then he always does the second half of the season 60 plus. So apparently a pretty big sample size too from what I saw. Sorry, not giving credit where it's due. I've kind of slipped my mind where I saw that stat. But if that, I've owned Tarpane a few times, and anecdotally I can say that seems about right.
Yeah.
So I think I won't start with him. It's interesting with Gula leaving that he could maybe get a few more minutes, but then I think Horsburgh comes back and eats up a lot of minutes too. So
these are still there. He's
exactly.
As well.
I think Tarpane gets the 50 minutes that he usually does. I think you'll get what you pay for.
Buy him at Origin time.
Yeah,
that's what I'm hearing.
That's what kind of perfect.
Yep, not right now. Mitch Barnett is a guy with monster upside. And I've got to be completely honest with you. I've researched most of these guys. I haven't had a single thought about Mitch Barnett until right now.
Really?
He
ended the season so well.
I just never had him in any of my teams. I just wasn't a believer. But Mitch Barnett, he's a guy who he was explosive at times last year and then really quiet towards the end of the year as well. So I don't know. They lose Tohu Harris. They lose Fanua Blake. They bring Fisher Harris in, who isn't quite the minute sponge those two are. Maybe this is Barnett's season, priced at a 53. Are you interested?
I'm interested. I think the late-ish, except the end, part where it was really the Mitch Barnett and Keon Kolomatangi show, where those two were just pumping out 65, 70s, hundreds. I like Barnett. I think he's taken a step up from kind of, I wouldn't say, I mean, you could argue it was journeyman, but he's locked and loaded. He's an Origin player now.
He wasn't regarded. Now he's an Origin player.
He's an Origin player, and he looked great at Origin. And I think he's taken the step. He's solved what's in his head, and he looks like a premier forward in the game. And he's going to get the minutes. His work rate's gone up. He's added, he's always had attacking stats. Now his defensive work rate's up. Dual position. I don't mind it. Like if I'm not going Haas and Yo to start the year, and I want a guy I think I can bank, Barnett's one I think I could go. I mean, the only problem is that the real hots period was a small sample size.
Yep.
Like we've seen a lot of Barnett in the past. He's not a new player. He's always kind of been a tier below what he produced last year. Yep. So do you believe it? Or is it like a 2022 Sean Lane flash in the pan kind of?
I mean, it's a pod, right?
Yeah. What's his ownership right now?
11%.
Yeah.
11%. But I think it's a lot of Warriors fans.
Yeah.
What I will say too is imagine lining up against the Warriors, running at him and James Fisher-Harris. I reckon that should be a punishment for whichever one of us finishes lower in the rankings this year.
I wouldn't take you on. I'd retire.
It'd be death.
Yeah. I'll just run at Wade Egan. Thank you.
Oh yeah, mate. Even Egan to drop us. That's the issue.
That's true. Yeah.
We're out of our prime, mate. We're 30. All right, Cam McInnes, 700K. Cam McInnes is the biggest tease in all of fantasy sports. He just every year he pops out and he comes in and he has a couple of weeks where he scores massive, gets the minutes he deserves,
Yeah.
just pumps out meters, pumps out tackles. Like he's fantastic. And then goes back to playing 45 minutes to 55 minutes a game. I see nothing to imply that's different. In fact, I only see things that make it worse, right? So they lose Royce Hunt, who's a notorious low minute player, replace him with Fanua Blake, who's a minute sponge. There's nothing here for Cam McInnes. 0.9% ownership. I think that's 0.9% too high.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's any reason to start with him.
I think, yeah, there's not much point. I think he could be the best fantasy player in the game if he got the 80 minute role.
Yeah.
We've seen when he's played 80 minutes, he's just put up 70
Yeah.
plus. Like he could have been,
but he won't.
He won't.
Have you
That's
seen?
the thing. Yeah, they don't see him in that role anymore. He's getting older. I mean, can he play 80 minutes? Like, yeah.
Oh yeah.
The few times he's done it, he's looked fine. They just don't need him to. Why wear him out? Yeah, I think it's an easy pass. Next one, Big Tino is back. Awkwardly priced. He's come straight back at 52. He's got the bye week 1. Coming off a brutal ACL injury. Big man. I'm not having a bar of it to start the year. I know he's a lot more enticing in Supercoach this year.
Yeah.
Are you looking at him? I just can't.
They made him expensive.
They made him almost too expensive to even consider.
If he was
almost.
650, I'm probably jumping on. You know, if he's priced in the high mid to high 40s, whatever it is, I'm jumping on. But yeah, at that price, I mean, if he was dominant in the trials, if I saw a trial game where he rocked up, I'd maybe consider it. The other risk here is they bring in RCG who can play big minutes.
Yeah.
And they've had all these other guys who have just suddenly stepped up into bigger minute roles. So Mo Jamin Jolliffe, you called him, by the way, at the start. Shout out to you. But they've shown they can play more minutes. So if Tino is struggling a bit with an injury, or if they're winning, or whatever it is, he can have a rest because those guys have shown they can sponge up those minutes. So it's pretty risky, but if he dominates in the trials, I could probably fall for the hype.
I mean, if he wasn't by round 1, would you be more interested? I know you like your pods to have buys to make them body.
Actually make a difference.
Doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, no, not at all. I'm okay with an early buy for a player. Yeah, and round 1, like you said before, you can cover it a bit easier.
Yeah,
Maxi Plath, we'll go through him. We talked about him in the hooker video, but both of us not super interested. There's a lot of competition there. Gilbert comes back. Jeremy Marshall-King's back. It's not ideal. Koloamatangi, again, I'm going to give him to you because I've never owned a Koloamatangi, and it's been tough.
Look, I had Koloamatangi in his run last year, and goddamn, when he was playing lock, 30 tackles, 250 meters, tackle busts, tries, Murray out for this, start of the season, potentially dual position. Even if he's not there at lock for long, I do think his position is in the middle. Like if he's not lock, he's a big minute prop. And if he's getting 60 minutes, I think he can be a 60-point guy because he's worked right through the middle. He's almost like Adam Fanua Blake. It's not a big tackler, but he's going to run the ball. He kind of runs similar mold. Like, I do like Koloamatangi. I think if I hear or read or see that Murray's going to be out 3+ weeks and Colo is named at lock, I think I want him.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of him as well. He didn't seem to settle in on the edge. I don't know what it is. He had a couple of really good years a couple of years ago where he was very explosive, and then he sort of seemed to fall off a bit. Moving to the middle has revitalized him, so I completely agree with you there. Him with Murray as well is a great pair of middles through the middle. I mean, it'd be great if they had Damien Cook there too.
Yeah,
to play off that, but even at prop, I agree with you there. 692K is not a bad price either. Next guy here I like a bit more though. So Terrell May. We've talked about Terrell May ad nauseum, and I'll probably mention him weekly until the season starts. But the numbers for him are fantastic. So last year it was sort of in that 30s for minutes that he had. When he plays 50+ minutes, it's a 60+ average. Like it's absolutely huge. When he plays, 60, 70 minutes, the average jumps into best player in fantasy territory.
Yep.
Now, what kind of minutes does he play? I've kind of got him penciled in for about 50 minutes. I think he'll be a slightly big minute prop. He's got plenty of offloads in his game. He's playing next to Appy Coruscant there too, so that's a nice place to be. In a Tigers team that needs a prop to step up because they've struggled with guys like Clemmer, who's sort of on the back end, and some other younger guys. So they need that prop leader. And you throw in Jack Bird at lock, they really need a prop to, get this done. So for me, the upside of Terrell May is prime Andrew Fafita when it comes to fantasy.
We know how much you loved Andrew Fafita.
Mate, that's my boy. Andrew Fafita was the best there ever was.
He won you the premiership, or whatever you call it, back in 20? back in 20.
Mate, yeah, he won me
13,
fantasy.
14, yeah.
He won me 25 grand and that trip to the UK.
Back when
So-
prizes were something.
Oh, mate, I love Andrew Fafita though. So look, I'm seeing a bit of that in Terrell May, and I just reckon, look, 50% ownership. People are listening. But
50.1 minutes for Stefano last year. Surely Terrell eats at least that much.
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's conservative.
least.
It could be more. Like,
I
he had
think
games
I've
for the
got it
Roosters
to
with like
55.
70 minutes, and he was
It's
bloody
fine.
unbelievable.
I think that he's kind of, body seems to just get better the longer
Yeah.
he plays in the minutes.
I see no concerns
They've
at all.
gone out to get him.
Yeah. He's that guy. And they got Royce Hunt next to him as well, who's a
Yeah.
small minute guy. So
Yeah.
that helps. But Royce will just be a big impact.
Alex
start.
Twala is a big minute guy, though. Clemmer can be a big
They
minute
don't
guy.
like Twal, though. Like
I wouldn't say they don't like him, but
I don't think they do.
Him
Like
or Clemmer, yeah.
they pull Twal back whenever they can. Phil
Yeah.
Pole is more of an explosive guy as well.
yeah.
I know. I'm a big Terrell May guy.
No,
but,
I'm a big trauma. One question to you: is he the best mid this year? Would you? That's my question 1 and 2. Would you captain him round 1?
You're laying traps for me. Terrell May has surprised us. I'm going to answer the second question first.
Okay.
Terrell May has surprised us with low minutes before.
Yeah.
So I couldn't bring myself to captain him.
Okay.
Because imagine falling behind on, like, I'm captaining Cleary, right?
Yeah.
So imagine Cleary scores 80 and Terrell May plays 30 minutes. And, if you start with him, it's not a disaster. But if you captain him, you're 50 points behind everyone else on day one. Right. I don't know if my heart could take it. Will I make a second team and do it? Maybe.
Yeah.
But not with the main casual athlete team. Will he be the best player in fantasy when it comes to middles?
In the mids, in the mids.
Well, I think he has the potential to be the best player in fantasy in general.
Yeah.
If he gets the minutes like that, if he's a 70-minute guy, if he played lock for some reason, he could average 70, 80 points. Like that, and that's in the obscene high end, by the way. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah.
I'm not picking him to do that. But his production is so insane. Like, he's above a point per minute as a player. And this Tigers team, he's going to have to do so much there. And there's just so much opportunity to grab points. And they've added such strong players, especially in the halves. Their wingers are going to get set started better. So he's not going to be in dire situations. Like, will he be the best middle forward? I'll answer in 2 tiers. I think he'll be a keeper. I'm pretty certain he'll be a keeper.
Yeah.
As a middle forward. It's hard to say he'll be the best because Isaiah Yeo is going to be a mid-60s guy. Right.
Yeah.
So will he average 70?
I'm cutting his stats now, and if you filter for over 50 minutes, under 60 minutes, it comes out to an average minutes of 53.6, which is, I think, exactly where he ends up, like 50 to 55, probably closer to 55 in my view, and he averages 59.4. So I think he falls just behind Haas.
Yeah.
Unless he surprises us with 57, 58 minutes.
But probably doesn't play Origin, right? So more available through that period.
And 200k cheaper.
Yeah. And so that's why I'm starting with him over Yeo.
I may lock him in. Like, he's not going to leave my spot.
Oh, mate, I'll be reaching for him in draft leagues too.
Yeah.
He's an absolute beast.
Yeah.
That minute breakdown makes sense. The other thing I just want to raise here that makes me more confident is when the Roosters are missing a bunch of players to Origin and other things, that was when he played the big minutes, and that was when he was at his best. So he wasn't some fair weather player running off the back of Jared Rea-Hargraves and all these other guys. He was the best when they had no one.
Yeah.
Right? So
amazing performances.
Yeah. But Terrell May, truther, mate. We'll roll through some of these other guys. Ruben Cotter, I think he is just what he is, and I don't think there's any interest there from either of us.
No, I don't think so. I think especially being a Cowboy at the start of the year where it's pretty hot to start the season, his minutes will kind of ease in. I do like Connor Watson a lot more, though, and I'm just pulling out his stats. I've always been a bit of a Watson guy.
Yep.
Love the look of him. In both fantasy and real life. But, he's I think he showed that he is a real strong fantasy player. I think Roosters here with the Cheese out and Sandon potentially in the halves or for off-field issues and not even playing. I don't think they have a lot of hooker depth that I can see taking minutes away from Watson. And I'm just looking at when he played hooker last year. If I filter for his hooker games, 4 games, 73 minutes, 80, 80, 70. So I think he's going to get 70-plus minutes, and his average across those was 58.8 and making 46 tackles. Doesn't miss many. You miss 2 in those. Runs the ball a lot, 90 meters. So I think he averages close to 60. He's priced at 47.
Yep.
If he's named at hooker and I don't see them buying a hooker, I think he's locked into my mids next to Terrell May.
Yep, I'm with you there. He's done it at the Origin level as well, coming off the bench too. So he's not just some, it's not a fantasy story you're telling. It's a real life story. He's a genuine top tier hooker.
Yeah.
Roosters are needing to do a lot
Yeah.
as well. So I think more of those runs
Yeah.
are going to come out, and more of them are going to be crabby, hopefully, and we'll see
And
some tackle breaks.
Longy, you know what we didn't think about this, but if he does get named at hooker, he could solve our issues at hooker. We talked about it in our video. It just jumping out to me now. We didn't love it, but if Connor Watson's named at hooker, I will happily make him my first choice hooker this year.
He's already in my team, so
Yeah,
I'll slide
I'll
him
do
in there
that.
too. Yeah.
That'll
I actually have a
solve so many
spare
problems.
middle on my bench too. That's perfect.
Oh, how good.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah.
So hopefully gets named at hooker for everyone's sake.
Recap for anyone who didn't see. We were on the hooker video. We were like, I don't love any of these.
Yeah.
Any of these
So
guns.
Connor Watson could solve all our problems. If he gets named at hooker, get him in your team, get him in the hooker position. I think he'll be fun to watch and great to own.
I'm going to throw some names at you now, and you tell me which one is the most interesting to you. Max King, Tom Flegler, Nat Butcher, Jack DeBellin, Corey Jensen, Adam Elliott, Tom Eisenhuth, Jai Arrow, Morgan Smithies.
Jeez, yeah, I don't even know how I can remember all those. I think out of those, I like Nat Butcher the most.
Okay.
I think he goes back to probably playing 80 minutes on edge this year. I think they've lost Satili Tupanua. They've obviously lost Terrell May. So I think Nat Butcher proved that he's a really proven performer for them.
No Sua Wong in the picture?
Yeah. Well, I think I've seen reports that Sua Wong's training in the mids. That could be interesting. I don't know. I mean, Egan Butcher's back, his brother from injury. So, look, I don't love the job security, but I think if he's named there to start the, I mean, you obviously got Angus, but dual position, I think we've seen he can average in the mid 50s. I think if I just run through the other guys, I think King's at his peak. I think they've added Tom Mamone. I don't see any further leaps from Benny's perspective. Flegler, I think 50 is probably his peak. He doesn't get the consistent big minutes enough to do more than that.
Also the injury concerns.
Concerns, suspension concerns. If he's playing well, he's making Origin anyway. Jack DeBellin, I think he is one guy when he gets big minutes at lock, he kills it, but he doesn't get those consistently. Doesn't happen. Especially Gulag. Yeah. He starts, when he was at lock playing 70 minutes, he's maybe the best mid in the game himself.
Yep.
But they've added Gulag, I think minutes will average. Jensen, I think he looked really good last year, came out of the blue a bit. I think with Haas back fully fit, I mean, he's not fully fit, but he's fit enough to steal minutes. I don't think Jensen can do much better than 47, 48. Yeah, exactly.
He's cool.
And
Elliott,
we know who he is. I mean, I saw a report today coming out of Supercoach Whisperer that Thomas Kant's like training at lock. So I don't know if that happens. Apparently, Elliott's training with the twos, but
0.2% of coaches own him, and they have not heard that news. So.
Yeah, I mean, it just came out like I just saw it an hour ago, so don't know how truthful that is, or if they're kind of rotating. But Eisenhuth probably peaked. Don't see much more from him. Jai Arrow, he's an interesting one. I mean, they could potentially play him at lock. I don't think they will. I do remember like when Arrow came into the scene at the Titans, he was a formidable lock. He was one of the best.
It's been a while, man.
But it's been a while.
Yeah,
it's kind of like Ryan Madison. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And then Smithies, he won't get 80 minutes. I think he needs 80 minutes to get any better. So,
yeah,
that's my views on all of them.
Yeah, I agree with all those. I don't think I need to second any of them. Fisher Harris is the next guy up here, 10% owned, moved across to the Warriors. Now, there's two stories you can tell. The first story is the Warriors have lost Tohu Harris, Adam Fanua-Blake, and they need someone to step in and be that dominant middle forward when it comes to minutes. Fisher Harris is that guy, as we have seen in previous years during the Origin period where he stepped up, played more minutes, not to a top-tier gun level, but definitely to a low to mid-50s sort of level. So you could tell that story. The other story you could tell is that he's going to be so pressed to try and bring intensity to that line, and it's going to be difficult to adjust from the penalty system, that he won't be able to play big minutes and maintain his intensity. So they'll prefer him to play less, more impactful minutes. You could make either of those stories up. When I see teams of Fisher Harris, I don't say sell him, but he's not in my team. I'm finding it hard to commit either way, and I think the trial games will tell us a bit about what they're going to do there. I mean, I can't imagine they're going to go big minutes for both Mitch Barnett and Fisher Harris, and Mitch Barnett's probably the one that's more certain for those big minutes.
Yeah, I think Fisher Harris, I mean, he's amazing player. I don't know if he's got the fantasy pedigree though. He's one of those players that's much better in real life than fantasy. He's still a solid fantasy player. He's not bad, but I don't see him. Like, he's had great seasons before and big minute seasons before, but I think his peak in fantasy has truly passed. I think he's an older player. He's kind of they'll look for his leadership more than just putting him on the field the whole time. I think Tohu being hurt does give him a few more minutes, but I think exactly agree with you where Barnett is probably the biggest benefactor. So look, again, if I saw him in someone's team, I'm not saying go out and sell him, but I mean, we've just talked to so many good names that I would much rather have in my team.
And not that much more expensive. So you look at Connor Watson,
60, 70K
50K more. Like
50K Watson, 70K Terrell May.
Yeah.
You don't need all three of those.
Yeah, completely agree. So skip on him. Josh Curran, I've got no interest here. We looked at him last year. 45 is about what he's going to do.
Yeah, doesn't get the consistent minutes. I think you can skip on him. I'll let you talk about Stefano because I think you're bigger on him than I am.
I'm excited about Stefano. So my prediction for Stefano this year, by the way, is that 11.3% already. A bunch of people will buy him.
Yeah,
they'll get frustrated because he'll start slow at the Storm, and they'll sell him, and then he'll really kick on and he'll make Origin this year. So I just think it's going to take a bit of time for him to match it with the Melbourne, fitness standards and systems and all that sort of stuff that they run. But once it comes together, he's going to score a bunch of tries running off Harry Grant. Now, I was kind of silly and I said he'd score 10 tries this year on another podcast.
I don't know why. I mean, I don't think that was that silly, to be honest.
It's pretty outrageous, but
I can see.
Yeah. I just reckon it's going to come together for him. And Harry Grant's been begging for that line running prop, and he's had, a bunch of guys there who they don't have that guy, right? So I think he's going to come in and play that role. But Stefano, I wouldn't start with him at the start of the year. I think he'll start slow, but he's a guy I've got my eye on. 100%.
I mean, is he the most talented prop the Storm have had for a while?
Depends how much you rate a Sofa Solomona.
Yeah.
So he's on like 900K. So people rate him, but
yeah.
But generally, I would say.
I'd say Naz is an impact prop. This is the bigger minute. I mean, Welsh.
It's an alpha prop.
Welsh
right?
comes to mind. Yeah. Is this their best alpha prop? Talent-wise. I mean, we haven't seen. I mean, obviously, we're not saying he's doing better than Welsh at the start of his career, but is he on talent-wise? Is he the best you've seen
potential,
in recent
100%.
years?
I mean, he's a guy that Parramatta let go, so he's going to be a Hall of Fame player, right?
True.
That's guaranteed.
And Tigers let him go too.
Yeah, well, that's doubles it up.
Mate,
when Harry Grant went across,
Yeah, he could be the best. He could be the best propper of all time now.
He might even be the best hooker as well.
Yeah.
Anything could happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, Stefano, he's on my radar. And then Lindsay Smith. Maybe let's talk about Penrith in general here so we can skim past them. So Lindsay Smith, we've got a few other guys there as well that could steal some minutes. Yeah. So for mine, they're all a little pricey.
Yeah.
Lindsay Smith at a 45 average, he can outpace that. But
39 average when he's playing prop. He doesn't really translate the starting position to bigger. There's so many guys with Isaiah Papali'i going there. Now you've got Liam Martin reportedly training in the middle.
Yeah.
You've got Isaiah himself who can play middle, who's done that. You've got Liam Henry who kind of broke out last year, who could play in the middle. Yeah. You've got Sorensen, who's there, who could play middle. And they've got a bunch of these guys who are coming through the grades because their reserve grade team is almost as good as their first grade team. So, I don't see him getting more minutes than he did last year. I think he does win that starting spot. You're with Fisher Harris gone. Does that lead to significant fantasy improvement? Probably not.
Yep, agree with that. Loiero, I think he had a great year last year. I don't see it continuing to develop this year. Victor Radley.
Dual position this year, by the way. I just noticed this now.
Radley,
I don't think I've seen Radley dual position.
He started on the edge a bunch last year. I mean, look, 45 average. He has too many howlers in him for me to pay anything for him. I think it's the same. Jake Trbojevic is on the downhill in terms of fantasy production, so no interest from me. Jamin Jolliffe, your boy, with the AI photo.
Yeah, it's too late for him, I think, with Tino back in RCG.
You're about 9
He's
months late.
Yep.
Chris Randall is exactly the same story, so we'll roll past him. Dylan Walker, you could make a weird argument in draft leagues.
He was pretty solid playing lock when Tohu was
priced at 42.
Gone. I don't think. I mean, I think he's going to probably beat what he's priced at, but not by much. I mean, I'm just pulling up his stats from last year.
No, he bowled. He had games, but
I remember people were jumping on him, but then he kind of fizzled out. He had a couple of big games at lock, and then all of a sudden, people were like, "Oh, he's the next big lock."
We said that. It's tough durability wise to go from traditionally being an outside back and impact guy to big minutes at lock.
Yeah, I'm just looking at his stats at lock. In 66 minutes, he averaged 43. He's priced at 41. I think, there was one game where he got hurt after 22 minutes. If I take that out, he averages 47 in 76 minutes. So if he plays over 70 minutes, so bit of upside, but not enough for me to buy in his team because a lot of ifs and
for 5 points.
Yeah, for 5.
Yeah.
That's it. All of this positivity for 5 points. No thanks. I think Ryan Madison is an interesting one.
So 5 years ago, Ryan Madison averaged. I'm kidding. I'm not
Yeah. 5 years ago, Ryan Madison at this price.
Yep.
I think I've honestly fallen for this trap like 5 years straight.
He
since
sometimes
then.
gets
because he gets cheap
though. Yeah,
he
Price
gets
at
cheap. He
42.
doesn't play Origin. He's dual position a lot of the time. I think is he past it?
Let's be simple. If he's starting at edge and looking like playing good minutes, he's a buy. If not anything else, he's not a buy.
Starting prop.
He won't last at prop.
Like, well, if they're playing him in the prop rotation,
but not as a starting prop. That's a different.
Yeah, but what's the difference between starting him at prop versus off at prop and bringing him off the bench? Like, if they're doing Lane in that role, do they need both Lane and Madison on the bench?
It doesn't really make sense to me. I don't think it's going to happen. By the way,
yeah.
I mean, if he's starting edge, he's interesting.
Yeah,
I'm not touching him.
I'm not touching him. Yeah, look, I probably won't.
If Hopgood left the club, I might look at
starting lock. That would be nice.
But we don't want that to happen. Leo Thompson leaving the Knights end of the year. Priced at 41. I think he's done his dash. Corey Horsburgh priced at a 40. He was a 55 guy a couple of years ago.
He was amazing at lock. He actually, I think, once he took over the lock position, he was averaging like 59.4, if I remember correctly.
I'll be real with you too. I think he's better than Smithies. I don't really understand why he's not regarded in that way.
Well, he did come back in the last 3 games at prop. He 44, 50, 51 minutes, 32, 56, 55. So if he's playing 50 minutes at prop, 35 tackles, 100 meters, like I think there's upside in him.
If he's a starter, and we see Josh Papali'i on the bench, he didn't retire, did he? He's still going.
I think he's still going.
Yeah.
I got to check that actually.
He just keeps going. But if he's on the bench, that clearly signifies that Horsburgh's going to steal a bunch of minutes. And for the first half of the year, Tarpanay won't take too many minutes. So if he's starting prop, I like it. Fodawaker, I actually think he benefits from being in the tertiary prop role behind Tino. The issue is that RCG will also steal a bunch of minutes, and Joel have proved that he's worth minutes too. So Fodawaker's minutes could be a bit dicey. In a draft league, I don't hate him. In Classic, you don't touch him. Junior Paulo, look, no, he's awesome, but he's a bit older. Tommy Hazelton. Now, he scored a lot of tries last year.
Yeah, that was crazy. I don't look at this guy and think try scorer. This is your Stefano prediction.
Look, I'm a fan of him. I like his haircut.
Yeah.
I like his build. I feel like me and Tommy Hazelton have a few things in common.
Yeah.
He's just about 6 inches taller. But look, when you add a guy like Adam Fanua-Blake to a forward pack, it can benefit players like Hazelton. So if people are, if they're sending 3 or 4 guys in to tackle Fanua-Blake and he gets the run after, he's a guy who's shown he can convert, right?
7 tries last year.
The minutes are concerning, though.
Minutes are concerning, but 7
down.
tries.
Yeah.
Not even a locked-in starting role like last year.
He's a try-scoring extraordinaire, mate. He's a beast.
Can't explain it.
He's phenomenal. I mean, look, in a draft league, I actually don't hate him as a late-round flyer.
Yeah.
We talked about Liam Henry, Jacob Safidi. I don't think we got much for him. Look, you could make a case for Samuel Afanu making the leap as a player who's maturing in a Tigers team that's increasing in quality, but he's already priced at 40, so I don't think there's enough juice in that squeeze.
No.
Campbell Gillard, he's sort of on the back end of his career. That 40 average is sort of what he does.
Yeah, never really been the super kind of fantasy player anyway.
Yeah, big impact for the Titans, though. I am excited for that. Twal, he'll need to score some more tries.
Yeah. Look, Twal has the PPM, just not the minutes. Yeah. So I think, obviously with Terrell May coming, that doesn't really help him. Yeah,
got to keep an eye on if he does get the minutes. Couchman's expensive, but not for me. Toby Rudolph, no thanks. Lindsay Collins, you could make a case.
Collins, you can make a case for. Who's taken these Warrior Hargraves in May minutes?
The issue
is it Wong?
The issue is, Nafu White, who I like
Nafu
better.
White, I like. Yeah.
Collins has had chances where they've been missing guys and just not converted on them.
He also did get minutes last year. It's not like he lost me. He still played about 55, 60.
I don't think he's that guy for fantasy.
Josh King, 1 year though. 1 year he was good.
King reduces with Tokomani there. Jack Williams, do you have any love for him?
No, I don't think. Look, there's too many guys who can fill in this middle role. I don't even know who makes 17. I think he does, but not
won
solid.
The fitness trial at Para.
Yeah, but I mean,
Tommy Gilbert won that at the Dolphins. That's
kind of doesn't
pedigree.
mean anything to me. No,
I'm going to talk about Tom Gilbert now. So, super fit guy coming off some pretty big injuries, but he's exciting. 500K, He's a guy who can average about 50. He doesn't need all the minutes in the world, but if he gets about 60 minutes at lock, he's a stud.
He hasn't played in about 5 years. Do you reckon he'll get 50 minutes off the bat?
Yeah, and Plath is there too. Who's
Yeah,
really
like,
good.
do they need him to play a lot of minutes straight up? Like, Dolphins are pretty good.
Is 50 a lot of minutes? But they have added Dan Safidi. I get what you're saying. Maybe he plays a bit of prop. I think Tom Gilbert, like, he's an origin level forward.
Yeah.
God, that red is bright, by the way.
Very bright red. I don't mind it.
It's just burning my eyes a bit. I like him. He's currently penciled into my team. So I'm a fan at 500K.
I'd be interested to see. I mean, I think he had a slight injury scare in camp already, so
really?
Not a great sign. But I think I'll watch his preseason closely. If I think they're going to get him straight into it, I'm on. I think if he's going to get 30, 40 minutes to start, I think there's a chance he comes off the bench to start the year. Then I think that's an easy pass.
Yeah, of course. There's a bit of talk they're going to rotate Lemuelu and Vinafuyaki on one edge.
Yeah.
So if they're doing stuff like that and they're carrying a bench utility, you know what I mean? All this other stuff. Yeah. I like that. But yeah, I agree with you. Let's wait and see. Sorensen, Papali'i, both reducing roles. So we're not going to talk about them. Kurt Mann, Oregon Kafusi, reducing role for Oregon Kafusi. Kurt Mann's kind of done what he's done. Offa and Gowie, you looked at the stats. So I'll let you throw them through.
Yeah, I think Offa last year, he did play some big minute games at lock, where he was, kind of scoring 50 points pretty consistently. That was obviously with Hopgood out. A lot of injuries in the forward pack. That pretty much everyone was gone. I think he wins the starting prop position this year if it's not Madison. Like we just talked about it then. He's shown he can do it before. Like he's had a year where he's averaged about 50.
Yeah.
I think if he's getting 55 minutes, he can average 50. He's priced at 35. I'm just pulling up his stats again here. Look, his last 4 games at lock, 57, 70, 42, and 40 in an average of about 60 minutes. I think he's last 3 games, about 170 meters each. I think if he starts at prop, he can average 45 to 50. He's priced at 35. I think I like him a bit more than Tommy Gilbert to start the year. I think Gilbert obviously ends up with a higher average than Offa. But if I'm starting someone round 1.
My concern is because, absolutely. On the stats, completely agree with you. Talent, though, right? So Offa and Gowie he hasn't been sort of highly regarded in terms of priority minutes at Parramatta over his time there. Gilbert has. So, yes, absolutely. If they both play those sorts of roles, I'm with you there. But also, Parramatta start a bit slow, and all of a sudden they're like, now we're going to start Sean Lane at prop. We're going to start Wormu Greg. Like, we don't have that many options. But you get what I'm saying, right? Like, it could be shuffled around, but I am into it. I had him in like every draft league at the back end of last year, picked him up.
You've had Offa in previous years. You like him.
Yeah. I'm an Offa fan. I just don't trust him to hold the spot. But if he plays well in the trials, then I'll probably
They've got guys like they've got the young guys like Moretti just re-signed for 3 years. They got like Jack Williams signed on. You're right. I think there's a lot of competition there. I think Offa would have to have a huge preseason and really own that spot to get the minutes. 100% back. So
Cleese Haas, dodgy job security. Xavier Wilson. I think the fact they're moving Carrigan to prop is bad news for Wilson. So the minutes
could be pretty interesting if he bottoms out before Origin. If he kind of falls to say 350K before Origin, Haas gone, Carrigan gone, potentially even Jensen gone.
Pickero. Yeah. He's in the squad, mate.
Mark Nichols.
Mark Nichols, best looking player in
Viacora in the squad over David Fafita. Never forget. Never forget.
Insane. Look, Mark Nichols, I'll put him in my favorites because he's a good looking rooster. But for fantasy, he's priced at 36. So probably going to let that one slide through. Aaron Clark. People are talking about Aaron Clark. And look, when Aaron Clark gets the minutes, he's pretty great. He's owned at 14%, owned by 14% of teams. If he didn't get the minutes in the forward pack the Titans had last year without Tino, I don't think he'll ever get the minutes.
I mean, Warriors have gone out and got him. And like whenever I see free agent pickups, I'm always kind of think, well, they've got him for a reason. I'm not saying he's going to be good, but if he wins a starting lock position over Dylan Walker.
If he's starting at lock, it's different. He's like 55 average starting at lock or something like that. But
but
they lost Jazz Tavanga, who they weren't playing for many minutes. Right. So I don't know. I think he comes into that role. But yeah, they do need some creativity because they're losing Sean Johnson, losing Fenua Blake. So It's not a bad shout. Alex Seyfarth. God, it feels dirty, but God,
It feels
it
dirty, but
tastes
people are
good.
on him.
Yeah.
I think I think
It's like a
Benji's
3
hyped
a.m.
him up.
Macca's feed, this guy. Like,
Yeah.
you got to have it, but you don't feel great afterwards.
No, you don't like admitting it
Yeah.
to people. So look, everyone, not everyone, because he's only like 3.9% owned, because he's being talked about in the fantasy art circles I'm in. So
Yeah.
people are hyping him up to be the edge back rower this year. I think the reports are that Benji loves him.
Yep.
I'm looking at his games in second row last
Mhm.
year, 72.6 average minutes, average of 48.2. That includes a game where he played 47 minutes. Now, if I filter out that game, assuming he's taking an 80-minute position, a 52 average does include 2 tries in 4 games.
Mhm.
If you take those out, I mean, if I just look at his base stats alone,
Yep.
38.5 tackles with 3 tackles missed. So just say 30 points from tackles, about 100 meters, so 40 in base stats. It does have some offloads. About 1 or 2 offloads per game.
Mate,
couple of
he's
line
Eli
breaks.
Katoa, basically.
Yeah,
That's what you're saying.
He's priced at 34.
Yep.
If you are sold that he's going to play 70, 80 minutes, I think he's a must-have. I'm never sold on the minutes rotation at the Tigers because they don't.
Especially with Seyfarth.
Yeah, especially so far. They always move him around. They have for years now.
Yep.
Never really proven it that he can be a solid, consistent kind of second rower.
I guess the question is, who's the competition, right? So do you rate Ruben Porter? Do you rate Fanua Pole on the edge? Do you rate any of these other guys? Does Jack Bird go to the edge at some point?
Yeah, he could.
Yeah.
They've used pretty much like 20 different people on this edge.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, maybe even Dewey goes into edge position or plays lock for a bit and they move
it feels
someone.
like something you'd do on like a video game.
Yeah,
Move to
look,
window.
but it's the Tigers, man. Like,
Yeah.
we've seen weirder things.
Yeah.
Brett Naden.
I'm with you. I think he's dangerous. If he's looking like 80 minutes, then statistically you have to do it. But I've dodged him a number of times in the past.
And been fine with it.
Yeah. Well, and just said he's not going to hold that spot for 3 weeks. And he never has.
He never has. I think, look, even last year, wooden spoon year, he only had 4 games starting.
Yeah.
And, he did average,
Yeah.
average 48 minutes last year already.
It's a data play.
So-
This is the problem, right? If you get too in the fantasy bubble, which
happens.
people do, then you ignore the real world footy.
Yeah.
You go, oh, he's a great fantasy producer, like Aaron Clark,
Yeah.
Alex Seyfarth. They're in the same box, right?
Yeah.
Where the job security is not great, but fantasy production is fantastic. So if he locks down a spot, absolutely. If not, not that keen.
Look, I think I've got 2 mid-ranges in May and Watson. I don't think I want a third one.
Yeah.
So.
We've got some guys here who are probably knows. So I'll just say the name. You give me a yes or no.
Yeah.
Tavita Totola?
No.
No. Cohen Hess?
No.
No. Daniel Paseka?
No.
Yeah, it's a no, but we acknowledge the upside. Raymond Fatala Mariner?
No.
No. Brandon Smith?
Even if he was healthy, no.
No. Fanua Pole?
No.
No. Spencer Lenu?
This
at
one's
34.
interesting. I felt for this one last year,
Yeah.
but a lot more minutes have come out of the pack.
Yep.
One more year in the Roosters proved he can match it with the best of them. Played extremely well in Origin. Don't know if it translates to fantasy, but I've seen guys take the leap. So
What were Warrior Hargrave's best fantasy years?
48, I think.
Yeah.
If I think back, he had a 48 year.
Yeah. So maybe they're like he's their guy, right? He's their North Star when it comes to props.
They went and chased him.
No, I'm saying Warrior Hargraves, right?
Oh,
He was
yeah,
at the club
yeah,
for
yeah.
such a long time,
Yeah.
just a force the entire time. Maybe they want to evolve Spencer Lenu into that.
Yeah, they did talk about increasing his minutes last year. Didn't really happen.
Yeah. I'm not going to do it. If he was priced low, he's priced in the mid 30s.
His last 2 games, 51 minutes, 53 minutes.
And the points?
39, 38. Priced at 33. I need to look at his finals stats.
I'm a no.
Interesting.
I'm a firm no. But yeah, we'll look into him a bit more. Christian Welch, no. Nick Ore, no. Jamin Salmon.
Nope.
He was a great one last year. Talis Duncan, if he ever got
Has
the
to be in
role.
the starter.
Yeah, it's not going to be long enough. Griffin Neem, there are people excited about Neem.
No.
I'm not either. I'm not really seeing it. Like
I
I get the little, you might get more minutes.
Yeah.
This and that.
even
but
with more minutes, he hasn't looked that great.
yeah, I agree with that. Dan Safidi moving to the Dolphins.
Past his best.
Yeah, he's pretty cheap, but yeah. Dave Clemmer, no. Felice Kafusi, no. Frank Molo, if he goes to another club, I actually kind of like him. He's priced at 32. Selected by 0.08% of coaches. So he's the pod of all pods.
I don't understand where he would go to make him relevant, though. Where does he get big minutes?
God, I'm actually really struggling. Not the NRL, is it?
Super League, mate.
Yeah. Well, this is Super League fantasy. I mean,
WNRL.
maybe Newcastle. Not really. Yeah, okay. I get what you're saying. He wants to leave though. He's just said, "I'm not training. I'm gonna leave."
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously something.
Maybe Warriors losing to.
Yeah, maybe. David Moale is a guy who's sort of been on the precipice for a long time, but he's priced at 32 now, so no. Jordan McLean, Molo, Sipley, Stone. Just interrupt me if you want, because these are all no's. Bromwich, Laurie, Nafu White.
Nafu White's interesting.
Yeah, dual position's really nice.
I mean, yeah. Let's finish White, but I think there's a lot of minutes in this Roosters pack to be eaten up. The big minute games he got last year, he was really good.
Yep.
So there's rumors that he's even starting, training at lock with
Bradley
playing edge and Butcher. I don't know what's happening. I mean, Angus, I assume, is starting. I don't think that's going to happen, but White could win a starting prop role as well.
They did that last year, and they ran Butcher in the middle.
Yeah,
it's a bit weird. I don't really understand it, but yeah, Nafu White, if he gets the minutes, 100%. And then Hetherington. There's a lot of talk about Hetherington. I get Palacia flashbacks thinking about Hetherington,
and I do too.
Yeah, and everyone's so excited about him. And
he's not a fantasy guy. Don't see it. I mean,
I keep hearing like, oh, Madge is a tough coach and Hetherington's a tough man. It's going to happen. I'm just sort of like, I mean, I'm sure Palacia was pretty tough too, right? Anyone who's on at this point of the podcast, you owe this to yourself. You have to listen to this. But a few people have said it. I've heard a few different shows and different people saying it. And
any chance for a Blake Laurie bounce back?
No,
that was easy.
No, he's a bit of a Francis Molo. Then Nathan Brown, Jazz Savanga, Nana, Sally. I'm just going to roll down. I'm going to scroll here. So Tilly Tupanura, if you got a shot. Takiaho, he's done it before, but he's like 47 years old.
Yeah, I agree.
No, that Manly middle forward rotation is death. I think he's going to be fantastically productive in real life as a 30 to 40 minute player. I don't think it's relevant for fantasy, but he's a bloody weapon. I actually love Takiaho. If you want to get Takiaho, you can get Tamalolo as well.
Why?
It's on the back end.
Why not?
Oh my God. How have we made a fantasy team with all over 30 players?
Jason Tamalolo, 392K. That is crazy.
Same price as Moretti.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
What a fall from. I mean, yeah, I know he's put his body on the line for it, but it's still crazy to see him this cheap. Like he was the guy.
His prime was beautiful. Yeah.
63 average.
Glorious.
Captain every week.
Yeah.
Right?
And then for years, we thought he'd bounce back at some point.
Yeah,
just never happened. Maybe this is the year. Luca Moretti's there. Bullimore. No. I'm just going to roll down this list and hit you with
next
someone.
one I'm interested in is maybe Gula.
Yeah. You can talk about Gula. I'm not interested.
I'm not interested. There's just too many minutes in the pack for the Dragons. I don't think his situation's actually improved.
Ben Takura, he's hyped. At some point he'll get minutes, but it's this year or not. We don't know. Then, down the bottom, it's pretty light, so we might just go to our top rankings now.
Royce Hunt, 275K.
He's got no picture. I always scroll past him.
Yeah, I hate when they don't have a picture. It makes them unpickable.
Yeah, especially at 275. It's like I'm not looking that closely down there. Royce Hunt. So Royce Hunt, there's a data play you can make here. Royce Hunt has played over 40 minutes on 3 occasions in his career. I think the max is about 44 minutes. The average was a bit below 1 ppm. So he can produce at around a ppm. If you think he's going to play in the mid 40s for minutes as a starter, you could make the case that he could be a 40 average. It's not the strongest case and it doesn't have the most upside. So to me, in Royce Hunt, there's not a lot of risk because he's so cheap. He's sitting in my team right now. But at the same time, just the upside isn't fantastic. He's a guy who can go out there and score 7 points. I love him as a signing for the Tigers. I'm not excited about him for fantasy. Will I start with him maybe at 275K, hoping for a 35 average and a slow increase to 400K?
Yeah.
But am I excited about it? No.
I think, funnily enough, that the Tigers do have quite a bit of depth in the forwards. So obviously they've got Terrell.
They went and got him.
They went and got him. So I was going to use that. So they went and got him. So they clearly like him. I mean, the other one on this list is Tom Amon. He's 250K. Probably wins the spot on the bench from all reports.
Yep.
Historical average about 0.78 between 2019 and 2021. That was when he was a worst player. He's gone to the Super League and played pretty well. He was in the Super League Team of the Year in 2023.
Okay.
Averaged 32 tackles and 135 meters a game, 45 points in base. Obviously, probably not going to get the same minutes at the Dogs. Bit of competition with, Morrow and Sutton. But on the flip side, guy like Sam Hughes might not be a lock for the prop position. So I think at 250K, if he's named on the bench, pretty much have to have him, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Jump back to the top here. So let's finish things off with Isaiah Yeo, Payne Haas. They're the two top guys in the middle. Who do you tip could contend with them for their throne?
Terrell May.
Yeah.
If that's a cop-out answer, because everyone knows, I'd say Barnett.
Yeah. Jermaine Hopgood.
Watson.
Yeah.
They're the guys I think could contend.
Yeah. I mean,
they're all guys I think who could average 60 plus.
Of that four, that's basically my starting middles.
I think in my first, I cleared my team because it's clear it every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I think Terrell May, Connor Watson.
Yep.
And I'll put Watson at hooker. So probably Terrell May.
Royce Hunt. Francis Molo.
Yeah.
You did the Frank Molo and Mike Molo double.
Yeah,
Mike's actually only owned by 0.06% of teams, so it's even lower.
Yeah. No, there's honestly, we've talked about a lot of names here that could boom or bust, to use NFL fantasy terms.
Yep.
And a lot of names here that are just should be pretty good, like Offer, etc. Could be decent so far.
The concept of a pod, though, like 2% ownership Hopgood, 2% ownership Murray.
Yep.
There's a bit of excitement for me there. Anyway, guys, let us know in the comments who you are going to be starting with in the middle forward spots, who you think is going to be the best. What do you think Terrell May is going to average? All that sort of stuff. And thank you for sticking around. We'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.